I would rather do something and give it my all and everything I can and know that I tried than not try and later, if I'm 40, 50, 60, be like, if only I woulda. They would always spam like that's the king of movement king, like that's the movement king. That's where that came from. It was so funny. And then I was like, I'm gonna claim it as my title, like run it. I was so discouraged because it was like, no. I said like, yo, Joe, you are more as a content creator than a stupid check mark.
All right, JoeWo. I start every podcast here with a food-related question.
Love it.
So to get just straight into it, what's the best topping on pizza?
Does cheese count as a topping or no?
Like a plain cheese pizza?
Me personally, I would go plain cheese pizza and ranch. But if cheese is already counting as a topping, then I would go pepperoni. But if 10 out of 10 times, I would choose only cheese.
No, that's fair. I meant that. Just like a whole topping, you mean like a cheese pizza.
Just normal cheese.
Just normal cheese. I was kind of worried about asking you the food-related question because I've seen all your food tier lists and I thought it could get a bit controversial, but...
I know I've probably got the hottest takes of any, for all food questions, I get roasted. But also, like, I don't know, man. I feel like I just like the food that I just like to eat in rotation, and then I'm good. Like, cheese pizza, I can eat that all the time. Literally all the time.
No, I'm down for cheese pizza. I think that's probably the best. My number one is barbecue chicken with pineapple.
Ooh.
And I know...
Okay, the pineapple was kind of reckless.
Yeah.
But barbecue chicken pizza, I remember I had one for the first time my sophomore year of college. There was this like place, and I know I'm going to probably get flamed for this too. I never shop at like local pizza places. I always go chain, but I shopped at this local pizza place. I got barbecue chicken pizza, and the sauce is like actual barbecue sauce. Bro, it was so good. Mm-hmm. It was insane.
No, local shops definitely are the best.
Yeah,
I know for that take as well. My like Italian ancestors are just looking down on me and just like shaking their head like that's bad. I know the pineapple is very controversial.
I mean, I just feel like some people love it. It's kind of changed because I tried actually I guess it'd be like a seared pineapple. It sounds crazy, but I've tried a baked cooked pineapple that had like brown sugar on it, cinnamon, sugar, and it was like the best snack I've ever had in my life. So I can see it being okay on pizza, but I don't know. Yeah,
they call that a pineapple fritter here. I know what you mean. It's like deep fried, but it's got like cinnamon sugar on there. Yep, it's beautiful.
Dude,
I love that.
So good, bro. So good.
So good. Yeah, for that, I agree. That's fine. I can agree with that take. That is number one, in my opinion. And just like you are number one, in my opinion, on Warzone streamers. I know you've been like the
holy cow, that's a guess.
Yeah, that's gas. That's movement king. Despite all the hot takes, but we'll get to all that later. I just want to start. Let's take us back from when you were a kid. What were you into as a kid growing up?
A lot of sports, a lot of basketball, and I did play games a little bit, like some sports games, the old 2K, Madden, something like that, but I didn't really ever grind games as a kid, very rarely ever. Like, I seeing all the clips now of like the Black Ops 3s, Black Ops 2s, the OG golden days of COD. I spent weekends and weekends and weekends playing travel basketball only. So I'd be gone Friday, Saturday, Sunday to go just play travel ball my whole life. And then like it came to a point where like in college, I was like, yeah, I can't play for college because obviously those players are like next level. I mean, I was good, but not that good. So then it kind of came to the point in college where I was like, what do I do? And then I found gaming. So
it's crazy to me because I've heard that so many times that you started first-person shooters when you were in Black Ops 4 and in college.
That game, I'm telling you, man, I feel like what like really like changed my whole just like side of gaming because I like even now I cannot play any like team deathmatch, hard points, multiplayer because like that is how like COD started. So everybody loves that now. But I basically like grew up playing Blackout. So it was like that's my fun. And just seeing like pubs now, I just don't find a point. I'm like, how can people play that? I'm like, it's insane to me.
just for context, so I started gaming when I was 5 years old. I'm mid-30s now. So
Gosh.
I'm one of those gamer dads. I've been playing all sorts of games. I played COD from like the start. And I think the most amazing thing when you tell me you started in Black Ops 4, and I know a lot of people think the same, is that just how good you are in that short amount of time. I think one of your number one traits or attributes is you have such a quick reaction time. Do you put that down to sports growing up? Is it the caffeine? Like, what is that?
You know what? That's something I didn't think about until you just said that. It's got to be sports because, and I feel like it is because of that, because like my whole life was only basketball, and that is such like a quick cuts, just quick everything, like the whole game.
Yep.
And now that you say that, I can see how that can translate to gaming 100%.
There's got to be a correlation there because there's like you see a lot of people start playing a shooter and they're sort of all over the place. They're a bit slow in reactions and stuff like that. But like if you've come that far in 2 years, like 2-3 years, when I started watching you in 2020, it was like it's insane to think about.
That is something I never thought about until you just said that. That is a great point. That now, like, it makes so much sense now because that's all I did my entire life. Like that was literally it. So then now I can see why that can kind of translate of going from that to COD and 100%.
So I know you started playing Wages as a way to get into the COD scene. How did you go from playing just games with your friends in college to playing Wages?
See, that question I don't really know because I found out about once I was playing Black Ops 4 Blackout. I feel like I got like a DM on PlayStation Store or the like
the private messages
chat. Yeah. And that said like, yo, you should try to play like tournaments and wagers. Like, and I was like, tournaments and wagers. I was like, I'm just playing the game for fun. And then I found out later of like, wait, you can play this game for real money. And I can kind of see it now where technically it is gambling per se, but I feel like it's also your skill in a game compared to their skill. Obviously, because you're playing a BR, it's a little bit different because there is a lot of, things that can happen, stream sniping, RNG, all that stuff. But like, once I changed to that, it was like a competitive side just flipped on me because I played, like I said, sports my whole life. So I've always been very, very, very competitive. To then play for money and play against somebody, I was like, oh my gosh, this is insane. This is so much fun.
Once there's something on the line, it definitely changes. It's nothing like playing with your friends, pub stomping, anything like that. When there's something like money on the line, if you don't win, maybe you don't eat that week or something. I don't know. Like there's something on the line. You have to win. It gets different, doesn't it?
I agree 100%. And like that like changed it so much. And through that, I like met so many people that were like OG COD guys that played Blackout Wagers just from doing that. Like I played I played a ton of the current COD pros now. I played Formal all the time. And it's crazy because chat then would freak out and be like, yo, you're playing against Formal. And at the time I was like, yeah, man, he seems like a just cool guy. Like, I guess. Come to find out, it's one of the greatest Call of Duty players ever and just honestly gamers ever because he freaking could play Halo, he could play COD, he could do it all. But it's crazy because it's like, I was friends with him through that. And then later, like, going to like the COD events, playing from the Hex quarters, seeing him chilling, like just from even playing wagers, being able to kind of compete on the same kind of playing field as COD legends. Like, it's crazy.
That's crazy when you think about it because yeah, he was big time for so long, and then finally getting to meet him would have been just the weirdest feeling. I feel like
it really was. It really freaking was.
So did you have to stream as part of playing Wages, or is that like how did you get into streaming?
I got technically into streaming because my cousin, like, he streamed then also at the time, and like we gamed all the time, and then he kind of showed me Twitch, YouTube, all that, because I had no idea that Twitch even existed at all, or like gamers gamed on YouTube. Like I saw always like sports highlights, basketball highlights, car stuff. Like, I didn't know that gaming was a very, very big thing, or like live streaming was even a like huge thing, even in 2020, or like even then, like until like I kind of grew with the like streaming and like all that stuff.
Yeah, because I know you started streaming in 2018, and you pretty much just playing Blackout for the longest time until I found you in 2020, and at that point I came from YouTube. I saw Iceman Isaac's people rotation video, took me to his live stream. He played with Z, Exact, and you, and that sort of brought me into the community back then.
Love it.
I know that when I joined, the community was always something I thought was really interesting. It's so different to watching a video on YouTube, obviously, because you can not only interact with the stream and say hello, and like you would say hello back. I'm like, wow, this is kind of cool. And then also the people in chat as well. So it's like it's such a different dynamic. I'd never even heard of Twitch up until Warzone, basically.
Really?
Yeah.
Same here. Like I like had no clue at how big of a platform it was, and it's like so crazy to try to kind of like explain that to someone that doesn't know. It's basically like trying to explain live streaming a game to someone that doesn't know what Twitch is. It's like the weirdest thing, because they always ask like, why would they watch you play when they could play? Yeah. Like it's so always like so hard to explain. I'm like, the best way that I always say is like, okay, so for sports games, like let's say like you're a fan of a certain player on a team. Just imagine that you could go watch them play live and they can respond back to you. And then they're like, oh, that makes kind of sense. I'm like, so think about if Call of Duty fans like a certain player that plays Call of Duty, while they're live streaming, they can talk back to them and see them doing all the things live. I'm like, it's kind of like that. So that's kind of the best like way I explain it to people. But it is a weird thing, like that coming from like a YouTube video to then being like, wait, they're actually live. Like this is in real time. This is weird.
It is. It's weird. And how did you get from starting to stream, right, and then transitioning to doing that full time? Because I think when I started watching you, that was your full time thing. How did you make that step? When did you think I can financially or reasonably make this choice?
Yeah, so that was actually a crazy time in life, because I just graduated college, and that was I believe that was May of 2020.
Wow.
So I think that was when Warzone was either just out or coming out.
Yep.
And and also peak COVID times too, which that was also a crazy time too, because I was like, do I try to stream or find like a job or things like that? And my goal was, before COVID, I was planning on grad school actually in France and Russia. And then COVID hit, and I was trying to talk to all of my like team at school, and I was like, should I still do this? Like, because of this COVID thing, like we didn't know. And especially at that time, that was like a very, very scary time, because nobody really knew. I was like, yo, is this like the apocalypse? Like, is this the end? I was like, it was scary, because now it's like normal, but back then it was like, nobody really knew what the heck was going on. So
not true.
At that time, it was crazy, because they were like, well, you can go to grad school, but we don't know if you could come back. And I'm like, so you're telling me I can go to Russia, but you aren't gonna know if I'm gonna be able to come back? I'm like, I don't know. So then I kind of had some traction from streaming and things. I think at the time I probably had, there's probably some like old clips, but I think I had around like 400, 500 subs. And then I thought, okay, if I'm not going for grad school and I love this streaming thing and this brand new game came out that I was like, I'm gonna just try something and for 1 year and see what happens. And I kind of saw that as, what is 1 year of time? 1 year of time in the grand scheme of life is literally nothing. And I thought I would rather do something and give it my all and everything I can and know that I tried, than not try and later, if I'm 40, 50, 60, be like, if only I woulda. And that first year, I mean, I think I took off 2 days for my twin sister's wedding. And I was like, and at that point I was like, do I have to go to this? They're like, yeah, you idiot, you got to go to your sister's wedding. But I was like on my grind. I was like, I'm gonna just try it. And then if it fails, which then I know at least I gave it a try, and then it just boomed. So that's just kind of the OG origin story.
No, I love that, man. Especially when you're in your, I'm guessing you were like early 20s or like maybe late teens even. That's probably like the best time to really try something like that, because there's no wife, there's no kids, there's no house and mortgage. You can take that leap and you can try it, and if it doesn't work, you can start something new and almost start again, and it'd be in the most part fine.
Yeah, and I just think that I had so many people that kind of, they didn't hate on it, but they also just had no idea what gaming was, Twitch was, anything. And like, I don't blame them, but also seeing it back now, if I had a friend that loved something, I would never hate on them doing something that I just don't know about. Because for them, for some friends, for some family, it was kind of like, you're going to do this like gaming thing, like go find like a real job, like why do this? And it was like the perfect time because again, it was COVID, everybody's at home. Like what is 1 year of time, right? So, and I just saw that also as a challenge because obviously then everybody was like, well, everybody's a streamer, everybody does that. Like it's gonna be super tough, but I saw that as a challenge, being like, I'm gonna do this and it's gonna work. I kind of had no plan B. I was like, plan A is the only plan. And I think it comes down to a lot of people will try something but not give it their all, of being like, well, I have a plan B, C, D, but that's saying that your plan A is gonna fail. So for me, it was like plan A, it's gonna work somehow and I'm about to do it, and it's slowly paying off, I guess.
I would say it is. But there's definitely what is that? It was like a perfect storm or timing of that thing. Like you said, lockdown, people are home, a lot of people heading over to Twitch because they're trying to find community, trying to find something to do. And a lot of people started streaming then, but you had already had, you know, like a build up of time and building yourself and your brand almost. And it's kind of like what they say, where there's no luck. It's when opportunity meets preparation. And you were like preparing for years before, and that moment happened and you were just like there to take it.
I love that saying too, because everybody is like, that's just luck. I'm like, well, say it is. You got to put yourself in the best position all the time to get lucky then. So it's like, I love that because everybody's like, that's just luck. Like it could never work. I'm like, well, that's a terrible first of all thought to just kind of see life, but also you got to put yourself in the best place to get lucky. So that's what I did.
Yeah. And how did that conversation go with the family as well, or friends? I know people kind of get like, obviously if you don't know what Twitch is like and being there, it can seem like, are you sure? What is this? That people watch you play games? How is this a thing? And it's kind of like they're looking out for your best interests because they don't understand it. They try and talk you out of it, kind of thing. How did it go with everyone on your side?
It went pretty smooth. Well, I would say smooth at like the closest. So I got to shout out Mama Dukes. She was like the number one, like, listen, like do this, but give it your all. She's like, I don't know a thing about gaming or anything about it, but it is your passion. So I moved home and basically changed our garage to be a streaming office. And that's where I spent 2 years just on my grind. And she was very supportive, being like I said, I don't know a thing about gaming, but you love it, so go for it. Now, the extended family, they didn't know really anything about it at all. And it was more of like for them, like you said, the normal, like find a real job type of thing. Like, are you sure about this? But also, it's not that I didn't care their thoughts, but the only real person that I cared of their thoughts was me and my freaking mom, because she's the best. But from them, like, they just didn't know. They kind of saw it as, you're gonna go back home after that you graduate college, not find a job and play games from your mom's garage. That's weird. But for me, I was like, I'm about to hit this journey, this grind, like, and they just didn't see that side of gaming.
Yeah, and it's hard to see from the outside like that when you don't know what kind of opportunities are out there. But Yeah, it's weird. Even just explain to people that you stream on Twitch sometimes. It's just like, people watch you play games? What are they? Why? Yeah, like you said, why can't they just play themselves?
But it's kind of changing now, though, I think, of kind of since COVID, a lot of people know more about kind of the streaming and gaming world, which is great. But prior to that, at the start of COVID, that was like the weirdest thing ever. To be like, I play video games. They're like, what? Like, what the heck? Explain. So that kind of was always like a tough thing.
So I know that you were on your grind for years. You're basically streaming 10, 12 hours a day, would you say? When you decide to commit?
Oh, yeah. And then, too, at the start, too, was like peak Warzone days. So that's when, like, they had the big tournaments, like the crazy stuff, and knowing that like I have to grind that much to even have a shot, and then trying to get content out. Like I knew I was like, I have to be streaming this much all the time to make sure that I have a chance to be into these big things that are going on in the Warzone space in general.
When did it come to you to, or did anyone put it to you that you should be doing other things like making videos and clips and things like that? Or were you just like, I'm going to stream?
I'm trying to think of the time that I started to kind of do more content. I remember a OG thing that kind of grew a ton towards the start was TikTok. And I remember at the beginning of TikTok, I was telling like so many people like, trust me, like this is going to be big. Like the app was crazy. And at that time, I like was cutting up clips and posting them as like normal clips, like not even verticals. I was putting clips on TikTok that were horizontal, and I'd be like, that's dumb, like that's a dancing app, like blah, 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 blah. And then like it started growing. And then on TikTok, that's where the name, because they would always spam like that's the king of movement king, like that's the movement king. That's where that came from.
Is that so people really?
Like, okay. Yeah. So like I had clips OG of like crazy clips, like all that stuff that people didn't really see because people didn't put gaming clips on TikTok. And that's kind of like a ton of growth too there, because I just had raw clips that I was like, why not? And it grew a ton. And then from there, they would spam in all the comments like movement king. So I was like, I'm about to claim that. That's sick.
Yeah.
So then that is like the first kind of growth there.
That's insane. I love that basically your brand, what you're known for, it's come from people shouting it at you. Basically, it was wild, because every clip that would be like all the things like he's the king of movement, like this guy's crazy, like his movement kick. Like it was so funny. And then I was like, I'm gonna claim that as my title. Like run with it. Perfect. Exactly. Yep. All right. So I joined your stream in mid 2020. I remember coming in, watching you play with Exact, and a lot of the mods, a lot of the community was very similar. You guys were pretty much streaming at the same time, local to each other, and a lot of the community knew each other. So it was easy to go from one to the other. But I want to just run you my first real memory of being in the stream. And one of the first things that I was like, you know what, I'm going to hang around. I was listening to you, and this is a conversation I've heard you have many times on the stream, talk about your KD and how it was like 3.5, 3.7 or something. But if I was 4 stacking with people, I'd have like a 8, 9 KD or something like that. And me being a kind of a noob to it, I was like, what's 4 stacking? And I typed it in chat. I'm like, this might be a dumb question. What's 4 stacking? And the way you answered it was just so... You weren't sarcastic about it. You weren't like, who is this guy? How do you not know what that is? It was very genuine, like, yo, Minges, thanks for the question. That's not dumb. This is what 4 stacking is. It's when you run around with your team, blah, blah. And I was like, that is so cool. First of all, he's streaming to like hundreds of people. He took the time to answer me, and he was not weird about it. I'm like, I'm staying. So that's awesome. That's my first memory. And you are basically the same. You haven't changed in that sense. And I think that's something you should be super proud of, that you are still like that.
Thank you. And that's crazy too, that like, and probably I'm assuming from chat, there was probably some people that said like, dude, like, how do you not know like what that is? There's probably some people that said that, but also like there's a lot of people that just don't know like some COD terms or just COD things in general that like even now I try to like show them like certain sensitivity stuff, like even like stuff with dead zone, like all that stuff, like that stuff is important because a lot of people are scared to ask questions because there is some streamers that just snap on them. So like that's a great point of just kind of trying to see what they're seeing of being like, if they don't know, they'd be kind of scared to say a question that could be kind of common knowledge.
Yeah, and it was weird back then because obviously new to Twitch, just chatting around with some people, recognize some names from other streams, and I would hang out and chat and just watch the conversations or like watch you obviously. And so I remember at that time, you're probably averaging like 90 to 200 viewers ish, and you were going for partner, and I think you went for partner a few times.
Mm-hmm.
I remember seven times. It was quite a few times. Did that put you off at all?
And I say that, I would say it didn't really kind of. That is something that's very, very, very key too. Is a lot of people think that it's just like I'm almost out of it's above 100 viewers and you've streamed for like a certain hours and things. And I was so discouraged at like try 3 because it was like no. And then just like seeing that and trying to grow content, I said like, yo, Joe, you are more as a content creator than a stupid check mark, like than a dumb check mark, which even now it's like, who cares if they're Twitch partner, if they're not partner, like you are more than a check mark on Twitch. But I was like, I'm gonna just keep applying and I finally got it. But I was like, dude, like who cares, man? It's just a dumb check mark.
Did they give you feedback or reasons? Because it was pretty weird that that didn't happen sooner, to be honest.
I don't think they do. It seems like that most people, it's like a 4 to 5 time try until they actually can get the check mark. And I don't know why they do it like that, but it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, that's ancient history now, but correct me if I'm wrong. You got partnered around about the same time you won a really big tournament with Husk.
Yes, actually, yes. I think I got partnered on the night of a qualifier that we won together because he picked me up. He played in the first qualifier with Unrational. They lost, and then he said again, like, who could I play with? Like, who's good out there? And I was like, pick me. And then I got like a ton of people from chat to be like, vouch. And then played it. We smoked everybody. And then I think I got partnered the night that we won the tournament, actually, which is actually kind of crazy.
It was the Vic Star.
Yep.
You won
OG.
You won multiple of it was like a weekly qualifier kind of thing. And then you end up winning the big thing with Husk. And I remember that time was crazy because Husk threw you the mega raid at the time. You just hit partner. It was like a huge, like, this is it kind of moment. I felt like in the community and in the stream. And I just remember that time being so insane because it was the same thing. There is no luck. Preparation meets opportunity. You were frying. You'd gone through so much. I remember you playing the M-Fam with Exact and a few other people. And there was always something that would happen. There was always a cheater
just
or
BS.
No
especially
resets.
in those days was terrible for cheaters. So there was always like something random that would always happen. That's like, dude, like we're that close, man.
And you were
crazy.
Like I said, you were grinding. You were on that. Everyone was rooting for you, and it was just that perfect timing of opportunity met preparation. And a lot of people, I remember, were like, you only got big because Husk raided you, but Husk has raided a lot of people, and not everyone just keeps that average viewership the whole time after the raid.
That's so true. I see that all the time of like, well, if I got like a Shroud raid or Nick Burke's raid, or that's like, but like you have to keep those same people around. And on top of that, like they're gonna probably go back to whoever rated you, So it's kind of like, well, how can like you change them in the first 5 minutes, but also for that whole day too, like was literally frying, beating everybody, and they knew like, oh, whoever like he's playing with, because I believe, again, I may be wrong on this, but there was a couple of the qualifiers that like I dropped like bombs, like high 20 bombs, and then like that's like a 40. So like all of them were like, okay, like whoever this kid is that he's playing with, like he is a demon. So like see that of and then them coming over, it was just like the perfect storm.
Did you feel any kind of nerves, or did you freak out a little bit? Because Huskers been around for a long time, right? He's a big guy, won a lot of things in a lot of different games. When he said, like, come on, let's play, did it hit you with any bit of nerves or anything like that? Or were you just like, let's do it?
I wouldn't say nerves. I would probably say like more of just like being super hyped, of knowing that like all that time of grinding, that was like the perfect time to basically play the biggest tournament of that time and know that like, yo, we can win this 100%, and then see that of like, okay, there is millions of people or that will see this tournament and like say, this is like my time. Knowing like for all the times of grinding, like it is my time, and I was just hype. I was like, let's freaking win it.
Just take it. It's yours.
Yep.
So the reason I point out this point in time when you won this big tournament, you got partnered, was around about the same time, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I went back and did some looking around. It was when your YouTube really started to pop off. So a lot of videos started getting a lot of views. You were putting out more videos, and started leaning in towards a lot of topics that were getting clicks. So a few of the ones that you got were movement tips and tricks, where everyone's trying to learn what they're trying to do. Obviously, some world record kill matches in there, and Warzone settings. And there was a lot of those kind of things that people were looking for, and you really attacked it at that time.
And it's crazy too, because all that stemmed from a TikTok comment section way before that even, that said like, that's the king of movement, movement king, which then transitioned to like Twitch and all of that, saying like, no, trust me, like Joe's got, and again, like there's like a ton of great, COD players that also had some insane movement, but like they all said like, no, trust me, like he's like the king of that. So then I was like, why not drop a guide on that? And I think even today, I'm not sure, it's got like over 2 million views, which even in the kind of scene in general, 2 million views on any video, it could be a car, like that's a lot of views, I feel like, which is crazy. So that kind of just like was like the perfect storm of seeing like, okay, they like know me for that. So I was like, I'm about to drop a video on how to just be a demon in the game. And it just, that video, boom, like it was insane.
Were you making anything yourself when you started? Obviously, you making things like TikToks, the first couple of YouTube videos on your own.
Yep, and they're so embarrassing to watch. I'll go back and it's like me doing like cuts and stuff, and it's funny because the whole time that I'm doing, because I didn't know a thing about it, but I was like, I'm gonna just post some videos that I could just cut up and make, and the first couple of videos are literally me like, I'm talking to the camera for the intro, but I'm not. Like I am literally like so camera shy, and I'm like staring at the other monitor to watch myself in the like it's so cringe to watch those.
What is up, you guys? It is your boy Average JoeWo. What is good, YouTube? It is your boy Average JoeWo, and we are back with another Warzone content video.
But like, yeah, for the probably first, I don't even know, probably 10 was just me doing random gameplay, and it would just be cut to cut to cut, but they got some views. So
Hey, it worked. And how did you go from doing it to yourself to trusting someone or handing off the responsibility to do that and put your name out there?
Yeah, I kind of saw it back then too, as I saw like so much growth, seeing as like, okay, even though I'm not getting paid like a crazy, like crazy stuff, I should be live more often or trying to create that content and not trying to cut up all that for myself.
Yep.
Because then it was like, okay, I can either spend, because again, I was literally the worst editor. I was doing like intros, like it was horrible. It would take me way too long. Saying like, okay, I can either take time from streaming, which is content, clips, viewership, subs, all of that, and try to do all this on my own, or find someone that knows how to do that and then pay them and then stream more, which is just basic business. And I was like, my time, even though I have to spend some, will be way like smarter to stream and not try to be doing all these crazy cuts and edits and all that stuff.
It takes a long time to do that stuff.
It really does. And I had no idea what the heck I was doing either. So that's why it took time, like a lot of time for me too. Because like, I don't know what the heck I'm doing.
How did you go about finding somebody? Did you just put your name out there and say, anyone want to edit this? Or did you know someone and you just decided to go with them and give them a chance? Or did you have a few different editors? Like, I'm not sure about the background in that.
It was basically Zach and Brandon. When I won grand finals of the tournament for Vicstar, the final tournament, Brandon was like, yo, like, let's do a grand finals tournament kind of like
Highlights.
Crazy thing. Yeah. And I was like, that'd be dope, because the hype was insane then too, because it was the biggest tournament. So I was like, let's try it. And he was like, I don't really like do all this stuff, so let's try it. I was like, I'm down, because I saw some guys that did like clips, cuts, but they had like crazy rates, like crazy, and like at that time I was like, I don't really know
what's it worth.
Like, if I could grow it. Yeah. So I was like, let's try it. And then that banged. And then I was like, yo, B, let's just start creating some content. And then it just kept growing from there. So it was a like friend's friend that was basically like, let's do it.
That's really cool when you think about it. Because like a lot of people, they're always like, who does your content? Or like they always put out a tweet like looking for an editor. And it's like, you don't know who you're dealing with
who's
sometimes.
In chat.
Yeah.
And dude, I met so many people from chat that are like business people, lawyers, doctors, and like you have no idea who is there in like your stream or content. Like you don't know who's there. It's always crazy to see how many people have seen your Twitch or clips or gaming. Like you never know who is ever watching, which is a cool kind of side of gaming. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, and to think that someone, I mean, could be there, could help you with your next big thing. You wouldn't even know. So you kind of always have to put on the best possible stream that you can and try and be as genuine as possible, because you can't, I feel like you can't be fake on camera and on stream for that long. Like it's eventually going to crack. Eventually, the real you is going to show.
I agree. And I think that like over time, you can tell how certain people are if you're there for their streams and stuff pretty often. Like you can tell pretty quickly, like, they're not that person. And like, yeah, like you have to be at your top every single day. Cause like I said, you never know who's watching, which is the great part about gaming.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you actually, that's a great, interesting thing. Do you check have you ever checked your view count? Have you always turned that off? Do you know how many people are in there at any given time?
I've always kept it on.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't really like kind of see that as like what is like my content is on that, but like I can tell when, let's say I'm in like zone 5 of a game and it's like a crazy game, like there'll be more people there, and then if it's like a like slower day, like all of that, like you can kind of tell.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people put that out there. You should turn your viewer count off. Don't look at it, whatever. But I think
I disagree.
I
don't think
like to know.
It's that big of a deal. Yeah,
I like to know what's going on in there, and to me, I don't. If I see like one person in there, I'm not just all of a sudden going to look at my phone and. Like you still have to, like for anyone starting out, you still have to like talk to the chat, even if there's no one in there, and just pretend. And eventually it becomes second nature when people are in there to just know how to talk to people.
I agree. And that's so true of like, you never know who is there too, because I'm pretty sure if you click a Twitch link from a tweet, I don't think that you actually get the Twitch like what their Twitch name could be. Okay. So like you never know who is in there or who could have came from a tweet or from a clip. Like you never know.
Yeah, exactly. Plus it's always it's delayed anyway. The list is delayed. You don't know who's in there. It could be anyone.
Yep.
But yeah, so you started focusing heavy on YouTube. You got some massive numbers, content's popping off. Started winning a lot of tournaments, Twitch partner. Did anything change or feel different to you that you wouldn't have expected when you first started?
That's a good question. I feel like no. I got some weird kind of OGs that kind of is sad to me, but I just kind of got some like OGs that like were there in like the 10 viewer days, 50 viewer days, 100 that said like, wow, like he's like grown like so much now. Like it's sad to see that he can't even like see chat anymore. Like I'm gonna just slide out, like head out. Like that was kind of weird, but like besides that, not really, no. Really, no.
Yeah, I kind of get like when you've been, obviously you can see chat more when there's like 5, 10 people, 20 people, 100 people, more than you can at like 3,000 people, 5,000 people. How have you found that as well, trying to keep up with the community and stuff? Because there's still a lot of OGs in there and there's still a lot of people who come in and become part of the furniture.
I mean, since like I started streaming, and it's a good thing and a bad thing. Since I started streaming, I like literally read chat and like try to respond to as many people as I can. It doesn't matter if like it's like a 30 bomb game but 40 people left. I'm like reading chat mid game. Like they're like, lock in, you idiot. But like I've always done that because even just because it's a game, like there's people that are taking time from their day, their life, their job, their work, family, anything to watch you play a video game. So me saying like, yo, hey to somebody, what's up to somebody, if they have a question, like that is something I care way more about than a game. So like I've always tried to just respond to as many people as I can, and obviously the con of that is then there's times that I have crazy games that I am playing, and then if I'm reading chat, there's a time I didn't see somebody or somebody crossed in front of me, or something happened that I couldn't see. But I've always been the person that's trying to respond to as many people as I can, knowing that they're taking time out of their day to watch me play a game.
Yeah, and I think it's you can't get upset at someone like yourself who has a lot of people in their chats missing your question if you type it in once, or like at a time when you're playing the game and you're locking in. It's you know, there's only so much you can read. There's only so much you can keep up with, like, really.
No, for sure. And like I can see that, like, why they are angry about it, but it's also just like super sad because those are the same people that like said they're super excited for the growth, like all of that stuff, and then it like slowly happened and then they left. So that was just kind of sad, knowing that there was OGs that saw it as a bad thing that there was growth in the stream. So it's kind of like, did they always hope that the stream and things didn't ever grow?
Yeah.
Or what? So I don't know. It was just kind of like, that is the only downside that I hated, was growing like that and then seeing some people leave kind of just hurt sometimes.
Yeah. They took it personally when it's not like you purposely go out and ignore somebody.
Yeah. Exactly.
Here's a hot question. Do you consider yourself a celebrity?
Heck no. I'm an average dude with a bad hairline that plays video games for a living. Heck no. A lot of people say that, and I'm like, heck no. And then there's people that see me out in public and say like they saw me like at the airport or like grabbing food, and they are scared because I'm a celebrity to say something. I'm like, what? I'm like, you just made me mad. I was like, I hope you say, if anybody sees this and they ever see me, please, I don't care if I have in headphones or whatever it is. I love to see somebody from the stream, YouTube, anything. Like I see that, I'm like, I am the farthest thing from a celebrity, like, ever. It's funny.
The reason I asked you that is because I know you would say that. And also, do you remember the first time someone came up to you and be like, hey, you're JoeWo, or you're average JoeWo?
I don't remember the first time, but the kind of crazy thing was going to the first COD event. I believe it was in Texas, was the first time I could go to an event post-COVID.
Yep.
And then see like they are like like that's Joe, and I was like, who's Joe? And they're like, you. I'm like, oh shoot, me. I was like it was weird. It was a weird feeling being like seeing real people, obviously because of COVID, nobody could go anywhere. But then obviously with the first event coming out of that I was like, people know who I am. This is so weird. And I freaking loved it because I was like, I can put names to faces, and I love that. Like, that was so cool.
Do people come up to you and be like, hey, do they introduce themselves by their screen name or by their real name?
Usually both.
Both. I find it weird, and even like the people that I've hang out with in chats and stuff like that. I've met a few and their screen name is different to their real name, but I call them by their screen name because it sounds weird to me calling someone by their government name when I know it's like a nickname.
Say like, yo, what's up, Joseph? I'll be like, yo, how does he know my name?
Don't
like,
call me that.
But like JoeWo, like that sounds way better than Joseph. Like I'd be like, what the heck?
Yeah. Obviously, over this, the time of you building up your community, your stream, your name, your brand, you've sort of got to know and play with and against a lot of other big names, a lot of people who've come up, a lot of people who are established names. How did you feel like first meeting them for the first time? Did you feel like a fan, or did you just feel like, hey, that's Huskers, that's Breadman, that's Iceman?
Yeah, the probably first time that was weird to me was going to there was a LAN event with Tim in Vegas, and like we've played prior, and like it was just like completely normal, like it was just like casual games. But then I saw him in person, I was like, that is freaking Tim the Tank. I was like, what the heck? And then like playing a tournament, and I was like, I'm playing with like, and he's sitting beside me, like it's not like it's an online game, we like played together. And then that night, I forget the event, but he saw a fight. I forget who was fighting, but they had a like cool suite, and it was like Tim's, and then it was freaking Nick Merckx was there too, and that was crazy. I was like, that's freaking Nick Merckx, but not trying to fanboy, but I was like, what the heck? Like, that was the craziest thing. When seeing them in person, I was like, what in the world? It's different from gaming. To then see them in person, I'm like, okay, just be normal, like be cool. Like it is what it is. They're just normal people, just like me. Like,
but yeah,
crazy.
Obviously, a lot of these guys have become friends of yours, right? You interact with each other. Do you feel like it's changed now because you spend so much time on that online sort of world to have friends away from gaming, or like people that you knew from college or growing up or whatever? Or do you still find you've been able to maintain that kind of that balance?
That's a great question. I feel like it's been so much harder. And like now I really, and like this will probably sound super sad, but I'm not sad, I promise. I have no friends like in person. It's literally like, because I spent those, even to like now, grinding, like being inside, streaming, content, like I don't have fun time really ever. I'm trying to kind of go to like the gym more and like do other things that are kind of outside of gaming, but it's hard because I don't have any friends in person because I spent so much time grinding that all of those kind of old like friendships I had kind of got drowned out. So it's tough because it's very hard to find friends in person now that don't like, it's want something kind of out of you. I've tried before and it's like, yo, like I'm trying to stream too, like let's play. And I'm like, I just want to have a, like, why can't we talk about other things in life or over basketball or something like, and I don't know, it just kind of is like a weird thing.
I think it was probably on a Joe Rogan podcast, but I heard him talking to somebody about celebrities or famous people trying to find friendships, and they usually end up being other celebrities that are their friends because they don't want to hang out with someone who's like, oh my God, you're the movement king. Oh my God, you're so good at COD. Oh my God, your stream was insane last game. You just want to have a normal conversation about anything else like you would with your friends, like watching the football or like, going for a drink.
Or sports,
anything.
I agree.
Yeah.
Anything. And I've had times that it was like that and it just throws off the whole vibe because it doesn't seem like it's a normal, like you're my friend, like friendship type of thing. Like we're friends, like we can do things.
The
like
dynamic feels off.
Exactly. 100%.
Yeah. It's kind of sad to think about really, but you know, I guess it's hard. You got to find a different way to make friends somehow. It's like it's a different problem that a lot of people would never experience.
And it's like, I think too of I don't really put the time to find friends also, which is my fault. There's probably amazing people that are very, very, very close by. That is my fault also because I'm streaming so much, because I'm trying to grind for content so much that I couldn't see them because I'm just always grinding. So that's partially also on me. But there has been times that it was like that and it was just so weird because I'm like, this doesn't feel like friendship. Like it feels like, I don't know, like just weird energy.
Yeah. Like they want something from you or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah, I know you've tried to find a lot of like good balance recently, especially you're trying to hit the gym more. You're trying to get on that sleep schedule, that elusive sleep schedule.
As it's 4 a.m.
Exactly. Like, are you aware that you are trying to maintain your physical and mental health in some way, or do you think you could keep going the way you are?
I think that it came to a point that I knew that I wasn't feeling like me. And I couldn't stream knowing that that is not the Joe that I should be. And there was days where I literally felt awful. Like and because I was literally junk food, streaming for 12 hours, clipping for 5 hours, not sleeping, streaming again, like that, those days just kept going on. And then it finally was like, yo, you need to actually be a person too. Just go outside. And it sounds dumb because that's like go touch grass. But like actually though, like that was such a great thing of just like starting to go to the gym more, like try to just eat like better. Cause there's no way I could touch the whole chicken and rice every day, meal prep every day. Like maybe someday, but like just like trying to just be better in general, it's helped a lot compared to just grinding so much and then just that same cycle of like terrible sleep, terrible food, then streaming all day, sitting all day, terrible sleep. And eventually I was like, I got to change it up a little bit. And it has definitely helped a ton.
I feel like it's pretty common to see when you're in the Twitch world to see people who are, obviously staying up late, maybe they get up in the afternoon. Do you feel like there's a pressure to maintain a certain amount of hours in front of the camera or a certain lifestyle to keep up your gameplay?
Yeah. I think when you're trying to, say, grow a brand or stream in general, you feel like you have to be live every single day. And that's not the case, because there's a ton of streamers that will take off like Saturdays and Sundays. Like normal jobs, they go do, fun things, go golf, go to the gym, all that stuff. And I just never thought that, even now, because it's like, there's somebody out there that's grinding. And I know it's a toxic thought, but I've always been like that, of being like, I have to be live and making content every single day. Like, I hate days off, of knowing that it's like, even if I feel crappy, like, I gotta stream. And that's also good and bad, because then there is those bad days that you're live and in either a bad mood or bad gameplay or just don't feel good. And there could be, brand new people that join the stream, and that could be the last time they're ever there because you are in a bad mood. And then say that like you took that day off and went golfing or something, and then got on the next day feeling good, feeling charged up. Like, that could be that day that is crazy growth. So there's like pros and cons, but I've always been the person that's like, I gotta go always.
Do you find yourself worn out? Is there, like, not just with the whole content creation, grinding, being on camera, clipping, have you ever felt like you've lost the passion for like gaming, even though you're kind of relatively new to the gaming world? Do you think you've ever lost that feeling? Or is it just a job now?
It's kind of both. It kind of goes down to also the game that you're playing. Like OG, I was like, this, like, Warzone 1 is amazing. Been a little bit of a rocky start to Warzone 2, so hopefully it can go up. But also it comes down to the game that you're playing, because I'm just like so competitive, of like, if there's like things in that game that aren't good, it's tough to play, because it's like, I'm so competitive, like, I need this game to be good. So like, that's a fun game to grind. And it's kind of more game sake and not me sake, if that makes sense, kind of.
Yeah, it's hard to change it when it's out of your control. You pretty much just have to try and, I don't know, you reset and go back the next day. Like you said, you do something else, go back the next day, you're in a better mood. Maybe it feels different, but yeah, when it's out of your control, it's hard to deal with that kind of thing.
It's tough.
Yeah. I know that you have been working for a long time with a number of brands, and I think that's one of the most impressive things about your growth, that you started to really branch out, and it's either sponsorships, partnerships, whatever it is. There's some really big names. I've got a list of things that I've seen you talk about before. It's like there's Sony, there's Coke, there's Nanoleaf, there's Power GPU, there's all WD Black, even Call of Duty themselves. How did you get about getting into that space? Did you have management at the time? Did you just go out and find it yourself, or did people come to you?
Yeah, some of both, but also seeing that your stream is a business and a brand. Something I preach literally all the time, of being like, if you're a $1 billion company, you can't go find a streamer that's being super toxic. That's just being not a brand safe person to work with. And also shoot your shot at companies. I have literal DMs from so long ago that I would find companies that I loved and be like, and just send them a DM. Be like, hey, I love your stuff, love your drink, love your snack, love your clothes, anything. And there's times where I have gotten sponsorships from like a DM, of sending them a DM, and then seeing your stream as a business also, of knowing like they know too the value of streamers. So times are changing and like have changed, and a lot of brands aren't doing like normal TV stuff now, and papers, advertisements, like newspapers, like they're going for streamers and stuff. So trying to put yourself in the best kind of brand safe light and find those things that you love, because brands love if you're just if you were just a genuine person that loves their stuff, that is their gold mine, because it's like they have loved our product and they're like in the content space, like this is perfect.
Yeah, it's like a natural fit, especially some of those products that I mentioned are things that you use. You're obviously naturally going to talk about. You're naturally going to talk about them,
yeah.
And especially if you like them, they're going to be positive. And you've got the numbers of how many people are in there are hearing that constantly. I saw that Mr. Beast tweet about the Super Bowl, how much the ads cost. He's like, dude, I can give you those numbers for less than $7 billion for a 30-second ad. Just the amount of reach he has now, and it is crazy to think about that traditional TV is kind of getting pushed to the side for other forms of entertainment like TikTok, YouTube, Twitch.
Yeah, 100, and it's kind of too of trying to find brands that you like, because the number one thing that I've always said of don't pick brands or things that you don't like, because it's not going to be genuine. And that means that whoever is seeing that can see you as like a fake person. Like I'm going to do a cool stream for gambling when I talk about all the time, like I hate to gamble. And I have turned down a ton of gambling streams or drinks or beers or anything like that, because stream knows like I don't like that. So if you then try to go after things for the bag that you don't like, it will come off, one, as fake, and two, you'll get horrible feedback and chat won't like it, things like that. And then the company will also probably hate it, because they know too, they didn't get clicks, didn't get purchases, because it's something that they know that you don't like. So trying to kind of choose that for like a bag, I've tried to always stay true to things that I like. I will definitely say yes to, but if it's like I said, just things I'm openly that I don't like, that I'm like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah, and I've heard you speak about this many times. Is like also not letting a lot of things or brands or people take advantage of you.
Yep.
There's a lot of brands that will lowball, like you're pretty much just a salesman for them with like a very low commission rate.
Yep. I say that all the time too, of brands know they aren't dumb, and I get it. They aren't going to pay somebody if they don't have to, but I get it as a business, but also it's kind of scummy. I see people all the time that will be super excited for a sponsorship when it's like, that's not a sponsorship, right? Like they're just sending you out product to have a code JoeWo. And it's like that things that they kind of sent to you that cost them 5 cents, $1 to actually make, and it's so crazy because I see it all the time, and I would love to respond, but I'm not even gonna open up that can of worms. But it's just crazy to me that there's so many companies that do that and like think that's okay, and then there's streamers that take it, and it's like they don't know their actual value of me being like, yo, you're a working commission. Like this is a literal salesman job. Like it's kind of sad to me.
Yeah. And did you get any? I mean, I know you've had a finance degree. You've sort of had a background in learning about how a business runs and that kind of thing. When you signed up with NRG back in 2021, did they help you with any of that kind of stuff? Like how did that work when you sign up with an org?
So that's kind of like you're signing for a team and a name and growth, and it definitely helps out a ton. I think that there's some orgs that will have their own brands and sponsors. So they have, I think at the time they had a purple mattress, so that I couldn't go out and get a brand sponsor that is a current rival of that brand.
Right.
So basically you're signing for a salary based on certain sponsors that they have, where you couldn't go out and get one of their rivals. So that is kind of part of the brand sponsor, is then you will kind of show off the brands and things that they have being a signed content creator. So that's kind of where some of the brands kind of saw their role and pay of like, if they're going to have a content creator signed, they're going to have then obviously their org sponsorships and all that on their stream and clips and all that. Yep. So that's kind of part of where the salary came from, was them promising to the actual sponsor, hey, all of us can get so many views. We can post like current content that's got your name around it, all that. But it can either hurt and help you, because it can come to a point if you grow so much that you can make that current salary, which is very, very nice, if you could pick up a rival sponsor of the org, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it just kind of, there's obviously kind of pros and cons. As you're growing, knowing that you've got like a set pay is nice. Knowing that there's like huge names also signed to that org is super, super nice. But then it also comes to a point later of being like, how am I growing from this? And how can they see who they're signing as pros also? Yeah,
there would have been a really good security to having that sort of backing, if you will, or that sort of team around you. Did you feel like you need that now, or you've kind of felt more comfortable going out on your own kind of thing?
Yeah, now not really. I'm trying to kind of go into the side of either going to sign for a team for long term, of being like where that's like the final thing, because I kind of don't like how currently guys can sign for an org around 1 year, you get paid, you kind of don't do a ton of content, there's like some hype for like a couple months, and then that's it. So I'm kind of trying to change that, of either signing for a team like basically like for life, for long term, or to kind of sign on as like a co-owner, of where I see also how the brand and org is being ran, where I can then also kind of take a front hand role in the content of all the things that they're doing, and kind of help shape where the org and brand is kind of going. And I am also long term in that as a co-owner. That could be just super, super cool.
So the JoeWo brand now, it's not just you don't do everything yourself. What does your team look like now, and do you think it works? And the reason I ask this is because I have no idea how anyone else runs their brand as like a content creator, streamer, and I think it's very interesting to know that you sort of give responsibility to other people for your name in a sense. So it's a big trust.
100%. So I just got a current new talent agency. So they're going to be kind of going out to brands I like, things like that, and kind of trying to sell me and the stream for either like brand sponsorships, going out to events, all that kind of stuff. And then I got a current new talent kind of team that does more of my normal things of like, as I'm traveling, they're going to kind of come there for the trip, for the like say I have to go fly for a current brand and stuff. They will then like fly there also and help me while I'm there, know like a certain schedule, know the things I'm supposed to be doing, help me post socials, like all that stuff. So that's going to help me a ton. And I just brought them on last month. So it's kind of we haven't kind of,
there's growing pains,
done a ton of stuff yet. Yeah. But I'm super, super excited for that, because that is a thing that I need the most. It's just good structure. Because I'm just always trying to just like go. I am just like brain fog all the time. So that is going to help me out a ton, that I'm super stoked for.
That's one thing I always noticed about you as a creator, and speaking to a few other people behind the scenes. I was always curious about how much you try and help or like do everything, because I feel like you're very on top of what you want to do and how you want to get there. Like you have an ambition or a goal, and you're really motivated to be a part, like an active part of everything that goes into that.
I'm very hands-on all the time. And there is some that aren't. And I feel like the problem is that you don't know things that could be happening that you don't see, which could be a problem at some point. So I'm always trying to be like there for everything, which can be a problem too for me, because then I feel that I'm always like so busy and not like, yo, just stream, hang out. I'm like always trying to see what everybody else is doing, which is good, but also bad at times because I feel like there's just so much at times that's just going on that if I weren't as hands-on, I could feel very less stressed than I am at times.
Yeah, but having come up that way and you have been involved in everything, it must be super hard just to just let that go sometimes. It's kind of like employing somebody and giving them responsibility for your products and stuff, and it's just like, do it this way. And it's like, well, no, just let them go, you know?
100%.
So, yeah, I've noticed that there's been a shift in the last couple of maybe months, I'd say, where you're trying to expand, correct me if I'm wrong, about showing off you and your outside life from playing Call of Duty, rather than just being Call of Duty JoeWo. That's it.
100%. And the problem is there's times that I am not streaming at like all the time, but I feel like it's gotten to a point for a lot of streamers that everybody only sees their streamer on camera and that's it. They don't know what they do, the things that they love outside of streaming. And that got masked for a long time because I was only live all day, every day. So they had no idea that I like loved cars, loved sports, like all that stuff. And a lot of people like fed from that content that they didn't see because there's so many streamers that don't do vlogs, don't do anything else besides just game, which is great. But it's like trying to show off yourself as like the full package and not having of like, you just the streamer, I think is so important because then they can see you for you and not you on camera and that's it.
Yeah. And obviously there could be a lot of opportunities that come from that. I mean, a nice Hellcat sponsorship would be nice, but also,
hey, Dodge, let me know, please imagine.
Yeah. But also, yeah, so because you've been doing this for quite a number of years, there's people who are in the community that have known you for a long time, I think really like getting that other side of you, that taste of who you are really, rather than just a face playing a game and like chatting with them, obviously between games or after, before, after, but getting to know you a bit more.
100%. And there's so many people that don't do that. And I think long-term it can like really hurt their growth. Because let's say that their game dies or something happens, people will only watch them for the game. And I get that there's some people that's like, yo, Joe, I'm here to only watch you play Call of Duty. I completely understand. But also for me personally, knowing that I am way more than just a Call of Duty streamer, that like I have like real people to talk to like learn about who's in chat, about what they have going on, their jobs, their families, their hobbies, their passions. Like that helps me a ton because it's not like I'm just playing a game to a just chat wall. It's like I know about certain people too, and it's like friendship in chat of then seeing their, like I said, hobbies, passions, and that means like a ton to me.
Yeah, there's people in the chat that are like mods, VIPs, but even just not even anyone with like a mod or VIP badge that you know a lot about. And one of the more impressive things is that people who people who only watch you on stream, you're very active in the Discord and talking to people and asking them questions about what they're doing and learning about them too. It's like super amazing when you think about it because you're so popular. You don't need to do this in a way, but you do it.
But trust me, for me, I need to do it or else I will lose my sanity. Like I will lose because I see that as like just being friends, like with chat, because that helps me so much of seeing that they're real people. It's not that I'm just playing a game through a just chat wall. It's like those are real people that have passions, hobbies, loves. Like that's my favorite thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Did that penny drop for you at any point that you remember, or have you always been like that? I mean, even just to the point of you're not just a Call of Duty player. Did you realize that from the start, or were you like, you know what, I need to evolve?
Not really from the start, no. It kind of started when I'm trying to think of the first like vlog type content like I did, and then like I got a ton of people that said like, yo, do more of this. And then I said like to chat, so I was like, would y'all like a stream in the gym or a stream that's not just the game? And then people are like, yes, please. Like nobody does that. And I'm like, why didn't I ever think of this? Like people want to see, you know, their streamer doing something else than just playing the game all day. So it changed. I was like, wait, I'm down for that. That'd be cool. So yeah, I've just been like trying to do random fun stuff. Like,
yeah, it's refreshing too, because I mean, we've all been around this one game for like 3 years. It gets a bit stale after a while.
I agree. 1 kajillion %. And there's so many people that don't do it that it's like, it's cool to see that, because I've had so many comments of like, wait, Joe, like you're just a normal dude. I'm like, I've always been a normal dude. Like, what do you mean? Like you just didn't see this side. Like I'm literally so boring. Like I'm the most boring dude ever. Like some people said, I'm like, yeah, I'm completely normal. Like this is my day-to-day life. So
like you know about NBA teams, and you're like, yeah, I like.
Yeah, I played basketball my whole life. Yeah. Like in cars or like red. I'm like, yeah, I'm a normal dude. Like it's so funny to see that comment. I'm like, how did they not know this? Because I never saw it. I was like, okay, true. But I'm like touche. But I'm like, that's crazy to me.
And actually, speaking of basketball, you've been like grinding enough to be in the opportunity where you've been able to talk to other celebrities, whether it's through big names, collaborations, just networking in general. And you're doing a lot of cool stuff outside of streaming, where you're meeting up with people, you're hanging out, you're going to games, you're doing all this other stuff too. That must be like a truly surreal feeling.
It is the weirdest feeling in the world. And it's crazy because like I had no idea how many rappers, athletes, celebrities, they all play video games. Like literally all of them. I had no idea. And then seeing them and like trying to not fanboy, but it's like the weirdest thing ever, because I'm like, yo, I love basketball, and I just saw like I just dapped up Jason Tatum. Like, bro, what is life? But like trying to not be that person that I talked about earlier, of being like, oh my gosh, that's Jason Tatum. Like, oh my gosh, like what's up, bro? Like I'm a big fan. But like just being like a normal dude, because they're thinking the same thing. Have the same feeling.
Yeah.
Exactly. Of like, they're just trying to play games and not have it like they're playing games.
Not being interviewed.
Like a fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that is like the weirdest feeling ever, of like playing games with like pro athletes and stuff, and then seeing them in person. I'm like, this is so weird, but stay calm. Like it's crazy.
It's calm. It's all good. We're just people.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah. No, that's been probably the most satisfying thing to see, is seeing you being able to rub shoulders with these kinds of people. Be like, you know what? He's made it. He's there.
We're getting there. Trust me. Like I've seen some people that have these like kind of, what's the word? Like kind of goals. And then they're like, I'm good. I made it, but it doesn't matter if I have one person, million people. Like I'm always the person that's just never satisfied. So it's kind of like a good and bad thing, because I don't take time to just stop and see like since the start, like all of the cool things that have happened, all that. Like I'm just always like, well, keep on going. It's like a good thing, but also a bad thing of not seeing like the cool goals that have happened, or that I'm always like go. And yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I think it is important that you have been able to look back and reflect on a few of these things and enjoy them while they're happening, or looking back at the things that have happened. But what's next? Like, do you have a goal in mind in particular, or you pretty much just focusing on growth?
Yeah, I would say growth, and then also I'm trying to either, like I said, become like a team co-owner, something like that. Going to start a new clothing line and current clothing brand of like JoeWo like things, but then also try to start a current clothing line that's like my stuff, but you can't tell it's like my branded stuff.
Oh yeah.
Okay. And then just trying to do like vlogs, things like that. Like I said, things that are not just playing the game, because I think like long term, all that stuff will matter so much.
Yeah, obviously one day you never know when a Call of Duty might be not the most important thing to some people, and all of a sudden, viewership goes down. You need to branch out and differentiate yourself in some way, and you've been putting the steps in for a while now to do that, which is pretty smart.
Yeah, 100%.
One other thing I wanted to run by you was, what's it like when you get to the point where you are now and people steal your content? So they're either just re-uploading the raw footage and just titling you, this is JoeWo doing this. Does that affect you? Does that irk you? Or is that kind of just weird?
I think it's just kind of weird because then it's strange seeing that like, okay, I've grinded for so long with my own content, and then knowing that they're being paid for my content that I grinded for, like that kind of bothers me of them having like either clips of me or like they have like a thumbnail of like, I killed JoeWo, he stinks. And then like, that's their whole kind of content in general. But I get it, but it's also just weird because it's like seeing the grind from an early start to then now, and then now it's like have random people just completely steal it and be paid for it. It's like, that's kind of weird to me, but I guess it is what it is. I don't know.
It's just so weird. If you ever scroll and you'll be like, JoeWo's reaction to whatever topic it is, and it's not your upload, and I'm like, what is this? Why
it happens literally every day, all day. I'm like, I don't know. It's an interesting thing, but it's like easy content. That's like the easiest content of all time, but they're not growing a personal brand or anything from that. It's just like times that's the perfect place for just haters to just go and just feed off of, because it's a perfect kind of storm of whoever can just like go there and hate the most. But then also whoever's posting it, that's not growing a personal brand for themselves. So I don't really care.
Yeah, there's a lot of different types of content creators out there who will literally base their entire world off using someone else's footage or something like that, and they don't create anything. Nope. It's just it's weird, and it's around for now, but hopefully
that's not a long-term strategy. That's going to work.
It can't.
Yeah,
it can't work. There's
no way.
No. But Joe, it was an honor to have you on, man. I just wanted to say thank you for coming on. On behalf of everyone who knows you in the community and everything, thank you for being you, not switching up, being true to yourself. Like I said, you're still the same in chat, interacting with your fans and people who are there. From now to where you were 3 years ago, it's the same. You're still the most genuine person. And yeah, man, thank you for taking the time to talk to me.
Thank you. Dude, you're the freaking man, bro. Do not think this is literally the least I can do. After all this time of seeing me lose composure for 3 years now, this is the literal. This is the bare minimum I can do. I probably have about 100 or 1,000 more podcasts, and then I'll get close to the payback of the pain that you've endured watching me for the last 3 years. So I'm getting there, bro. But seriously, thank you, man.
Nah, man. I wish you all the best for the future, and thank you so much again for coming on.
Absolutely, bro.